Hey everyone, it's the Sith Justice Warriors panel podcast with your hosts Jaded Fan and Princess Lumpia.
Hey guys, happy Friday.
Friday, so let's talk a little gaming into the weekend. So, a couple of little bit of light news that I found interesting, and I think the first one is Halo. I know Lumpia's got a little bit of a problem with the way Halo's been right now, and so they announced this week that they were bringing back an old Halo veteran named Joseph Staten. He worked prior in the prior Halo series, and he is going to be moving back to 343 to help spearhead the Halo Infinite in an effort to get it to launch by 2021. Um, though it is interesting that he, as project lead, they're pretty much going to put a lot of the emphasis on him to salvage Halo Infinite, and he will report to studio head Chris. I'm sorry, he will report to Bonnie Ross, who's the VP who oversees 343, and work with studio head Chris Lee. So it's kind of like I don't know. This is a it's kind of like if we take it to the other podcast, kind of like a Kevin Feige swinging into the Star Wars universe, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, honestly, like I said, I didn't know what to expect, so I was happy with what I saw and heard, but a lot of the true fans, I would be remiss to say, like the graphics and everything, and they probably weren't happy with it. And for what, that 15-minute gameplay like that they had or 10-minute gameplay that they had, like that memory probably still haunts them, so it's time to bring someone in. So doesn't surprise me that um, they're bringing in a veteran to get the job done because, like me, there are probably a lot of people that are upset that, it's kind of been pushed out.
And interestingly, in the article from Bloomberg, it says Staten, one of the most renowned figures among Halo fans, started the career in 1990 in Bungie. Bungie did, by the way, create the series for those who don't know, and he remained there. He remained at Bungie when the studio split from Microsoft in 2007 and ended its work on Halo, but then abruptly departed in 2013, just a year before the launch of Bungie's online sci-fi game Destiny. So he's had a hand in Destiny. So I know that that's a game that's near and dear to your heart. Um, yeah, I think for the most part, I know that he gets Halo, so it's a good thing. It's very interesting that they have to sort of shake up 343. It is actually the one of the biggest studios Microsoft has, and given that they gave them 5+ years, I find it fascinating that they just found themselves, I don't know, distracted, delayed, and I understand that the beer bug sort of has that issue of delaying some things, but we'll say, hey, what's going on? But maybe this is the shakeup they need. Bonnie Ross has been head of 343 since Bungie left. I think the question is, Halo's been on a decline since Bungie left in Microsoft's hands. Is this a test for Bonnie Ross? I don't know. What do you? Any last thoughts before we move on?
No, I think I mean, it could be a bunch of different things, but let's put it this way. Bringing a veteran in means that the job's not getting done the
Mm-hmm.
right way. And so it's a sign in that sense. It's a good move if that's the case, but I mean, it's sad because I think to your point, and I'm not a hardcore Halo player, but they had 5 years to get it right. And it's funny because Bungie developed Destiny and it's doing just fine. And if
Yeah.
that's what they were trying to develop, I don't know why they couldn't do the same thing, but in a Halo setting.
Well, that's a problem for Microsoft back then. I really this is I think the rumor, if I remember this right, is that Bungie wanted to make Destiny and they wanted to make it a Microsoft exclusive. They said no, we forever want you to make Halo, and so hence they said fine, I want to leave. and so they left. So you could have had Destiny just for your Xbox yourself, but
Yeah.
uh, people in charge were rather different. And you know what? Here we are.
And here we are trying to make a Halo Infinite that's kind of like Destiny, right? Like that's literally supposed to be the game that keeps giving and can't get it done.
You know,
Sad. It's sad.
it's kind of sad because you were not a Halo person. After that trailer, you were like, "Yes, give me Gary."
Yeah, give me it. And then now they're like, no, you're gonna have to wait. Well, now I'm not getting an Xbox. There you go.
Well,
I'm not getting your new machine. F that.
yeah. Well, that being said, you're not the only one who feels that way. But I guess the question would be: Is would you be interested if you had a invite only to pre-order a PS5?
Oh God, this bit of news is interesting to me. Like, are we trying to make this like the elitist game like system? Like, what in the world is that about?
So
I want to get your thoughts on that.
let's get into that. So I know other outlets have reported on this, but I'm going to quote 20 VG 24/7. It's very simple that Sony has opened registration for an invite-only PS5 pre-order. A number of users have reported getting an email that grants them a chance to register for an opportunity to be one of the first to pre-order your PS5. Then the article kind of goes on about how there's a FAQ and it's by PSNID, yada yada yada, and it's only for U.S. residents only. So I find it fascinating that there's been rumors that Sony, especially now that you have the beer bug, you've got production issues, and then I think the challenge is that the way Sony made that device, it's actually very expensive to make. So they were only the rumor was they were always going to have a limited run, and I think this is clever marketing that it's an you have to register for an invite only pre-order because let's face it, PlayStation's a bigger brand in terms of a worldwide recognition for gaming, and by doing this elitism or the sense of scarcity for the PS5, whatever high demand it already had, it's probably going to get higher if you do it this way, right? I think it's more of a marketing ploy, and I think it's genius.
Yeah, and I mean, they're very good at marketing. We talked about that before. But my thing is I don't know that this is going to work as well as I think they're thinking because I mean, maybe from a production perspective so they can know how much to allot certain countries when the launch goes through and that way they can manage the production quantities and the runs, but a part of me is just kind of like the price point itself already lends to people who can only afford a system that costs what is it now? Is it $600?
Rumors 600, rumors 500, rumors
Like
400.
either way, like that price point alone, like you really have to start thinking in your head about it. And I just feel like that price point alone is gonna already, if they go at the higher end, is going to change your demand. Like I said before, there's a threshold for people, and I think once you cross 500, it starts becoming something that you got to stop and think about. So I don't know what it's supposed to do other than, yes, you're right, it's a marketing thing, and they are the kings of marketing in video games. Honestly, like I said, there are times when I see their marketing and it's like, oh, this video game is a PlayStation exclusive, but it's not. It feels like it based on the marketing, but it's not. So yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how many people take that opportunity. I mean, it's actually registering for a chance. So you're not registering and guaranteed a spot to actually pre-order it, right? You're only guaranteed a chance to pre-order it.
That's what I'm interpreting. Let me just double check this thing. It's like a number email, did not have a price, limited window. Yeah, so yeah, you're exactly right. It's if you're selected, it's kind of like the golden ticket. From,
Yeah. So it's like a chance to do it, and you probably can only buy one. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yep. And I think I think Sony. I think it could very well be this price might be so painful that they have to do whatever it takes to get demand. I don't know. It's so fascinating that we're almost in November and none of them have given a price.
Nope.
And it's this game of chicken that I'm not gonna lie, it's actually pointless to play chicken. You guys already know your price, so just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Um, Other couple of things. I mean, there was the Gamescom first day that honestly there was nothing that Kate called out to me. I have to say that excited me. There's a lot of like trailers about the games that we already know about. So I will acknowledge Gamescom, but I don't think there's anything really
Earth shattering.
shattering. But I will say they did give you some scenes of Dragon Age 4. And I know that's a
Oh,
game.
jeez.
Well, this is interesting. The game is as you go away from Dragon Age Origins. For me, the farther away I am from my warden, the further away I am invested in this game. So, what do you think, Olympia? You
I mean, two was a good. The only thing I liked about two was the battle system changed a little bit. But I was so invested in my warden, kind of like in Mass Effect, like that I needed to carry over my warden in the other subsequent games, and I couldn't. And that was really upsetting to me because I spent so much time with my warden that, like, hours and hours, like, just time, like, just building up my warden. And it's like, oh, it doesn't matter because you're gonna be a different person next time. Like, I would have liked the option to carry over my warden, and I get it. It happens in a different time, a different place, whatever. I should have that option to carry over my warden. The other thing, I think personally, this is just my personal opinion, they got a little bit away from the core of the game. I mean, it's called Dragon Age, and it was all about the Darkspawn. And they totally, in the next few games after the first one, Origin, they moved away from that whole the lore of it all, the Darkspawn. Even the DLC was a little strange with the architect, but you know what? It still involved the Darkspawn. It felt good to be there killing them. Like, I, I feel like once we got into the Templars and the mages and all that shit, it got really political, and that's not what that wasn't what the game was about. You made us play Origins, and now you're telling me that didn't matter? Like the Darkspawn really were eradicated? I don't believe that. Like I would have rather we went and fought Darkspawn in other places because that was just one place, one pocket of the map. We haven't even seen the rest of the map. So there could have been so much done with the game that they just failed to do. Like I think Mass Effect at least built on the different star systems, the different galaxies that you could go to, and expanded the world map. And I know Dragon Age was trying to expand the world map, but they were going into this political nonsense, to be honest with you. Templars fighting mages and shit, and the Fade. None of it was about the core. The core enemy was the Darkspawn. And you can't possibly tell me you killed them all. You can't possibly tell me you eradicated them all. I don't know. I will get off my soapbox because I am, as you know, fan. I am very passionate about Origins.
Yeah, I think you're hitting a point, which is where Mass Effect 1 through 3, it had one enemy that you were just, it was like Doom, you're just like, it's this one thing you need to unite everyone and throw all your eggs into this basket and then get a Hail Mary and just try to beat this existential threat. And the Darkspawn was like, they felt like that. You had to kill an archfiend. You had to do a ritual to take the soul. Remember, you had to, if you chose to, you
Yep.
had to impregnate Morgan. Um, it was just felt like you were doing something good as opposed to something a bit more petty. And to say, the tensions between the Templar and the mages, I mean, it's not petty in a sense. It felt like, I hate to say it, it's like a
It was a side quest. It's more like a side quest story. Like go and quell the situation that's going on over there. But like, yeah, please continue.
no, it's exactly right. It was a side point when we were banding together, getting the Templars and the mages to work together with the elves and the dwarves. You mentioned it, but you got over it, right? And then you go to
Yep.
Kirkwall and Dragon Age 2, and it's like it almost feels like it's first world problems, where you
Yep.
guys are hitting on each other because you've got no other existential threat. And I know Dragon Age Inquisition, they had the Fade issue and stuff like that. I guess the idea that it's like demons as opposed to I think they try to replace Darkspawn with demons or spirits. It's not like a swarm, a flood of this.
Yeah. Remember the final sequence in Dragon Age Origins? Like you had to pick 3 people to bring with you and 3 people to stay like do the other thing. Like you remember that? Like it was like a swarm, like a horde of darkspawn coming. Like it felt like Lord of the Rings, like where like like they like the freaking hordes of those like ogres or whatever coming in. Like that's what it was. Like it was really cool, and then they took that away, and it just was like, I mean, even Destiny. All right, we killed Gary, but you know what? They still exist.
That's true.
They
And there,
do.
you in Earth was always never your like you never want it back. You still had to keep
Yeah.
fighting, fighting, and fighting. So even though, yeah, kind of weird how like so I say that you never really impacted Destiny because you're still fighting Gary's fallen and taken.
Yeah, we're like we still are fighting. Like we killed Gaul, but we still are fighting those creatures. Like the freaking, like it's I don't understand why we couldn't have had that, you know? But we didn't even explore beyond. Like they brought in this archmage or architect or whatever, like, and we never got beyond that, and I don't understand. And what was the point of the whole Morgan side thing? Like why did we have to do the soul thing? Like it didn't matter then after all. Like
It
yeah,
did, it did, and it kind of didn't, right? So she
yeah,
pops up
that's what I'm
with the
saying.
child. She pops up with the child in Dragon Age Inquisition. I never got that far because the problem with me was that Dragon Age Inquisition was during like it was all open world, and I couldn't deal with open world at the time. I was having that fatigue, and yeah, I just never got around to finishing it, and I'm not sure for me that Dragon Age 4, because Dragon Age 4 is a bit more of a continuation where one of your teammates is most likely the person you're hunting, and I'm not sure I give too much of a crap because I didn't care about those characters. Where I cared about the characters in Dragon Age Origins, and to an extent I cared about Dragon Age 2 characters, right? But Mass Effect, I cared so much about like Garrus. I cared about Grunt. Those two,
Yeah.
like that. That's why Andromeda was a hard sell for me because the characters were not people I cared about. It was kind
Actually,
of
I
like,
didn't like Grunt. I like Rex. Wait, was
you
it
like
Grunt or
Grunt.
Rex?
What are you
Oh
talking
yeah,
about?
I didn't like the old one.
Ugh.
Anyway,
Would you have let him die? You've never played that far where you could either let him
like
live or
yeah,
die.
I was the battle master. That's what I was. Anyway,
Yeah, it's and we'll see if Bioware can kind of get that back. But I really feel that there was a time where they just had characters you cared about, and
yeah, and we don't anymore. And it's like, then just call it Skyrim. Like I'm like, I might as well play Skyrim because like at least like that game has a little bit of everything, and political intrigue is a side story in that game. And
right.
that's what Dragon Age should have been. Political intrigue as a side story. not as the entire arc of the game. Like, what, 20 some hours later, you don't feel like you did anything. Like, it's like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
what is this about?
Yeah, back to the idea that characters, I don't feel like the characters I cared about. Like when I played Dragon Age Inquisition, I only cared about Liliana because she popped up in my playthrough. Obviously, you actually, if you played, you would actually still encounter her because they kind of did some weird loophole that she's alive if you didn't
Hmm.
save her. Um, but
Yeah,
you know, I only care more about Dragon Age 1 and 2 characters. Dragon Age 3 characters I didn't care about, and
yeah, exactly.
it's kind of the Star Wars issue where they kept throwing characters they want you to care about and then they died. It doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh.
But that is for another podcast on Sunday, I guess. So with that said, I think we've touched on the things we feel we want to touch on. So if you liked our content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Um, hit the bell for any notifications of our content and look forward to hearing your thoughts. Oh, and our Twitter handle is at Just the Sith. So looking forward to hearing from you about our thoughts on gaming this week. Have a good one. See you
See
on the
ya.
Sith.